to have a little sun out there. Gorgeous day. Time for this Dreamforce to really be all it can be. And with this afternoon's very special conversation between Mark and Sheryl, I'm going to be bringing out today one of the only guests that's ever made my niece say, "Really?" Because this guest has been such a figure of inspiration to so many people. But of course, the most inspiring figures at Dreamforce are always the customers and the partners who help them do amazing things. And I'm very happy, as always, to begin this event with the voices of customers. Please welcome Christine Nurnberger, Vice President for Marketing at SunGard Availability Services, and Phil Fernandez, the CEO of Marketo. It's great to have you here. Christine, I mean, availability services, that could cover a lot of ground, but SunGard Availability Services works with 8,000 customers worldwide, more than 3,000 people, 5 million square feet of hardened operations space, and you're running 90 facilities. It's a big operation, and I've got to think that that business has to be becoming not only much larger and growing at an extraordinary pace, but also considerably more complex. Tell me about the environment at SunGard Availability Services today.
It's a really exciting environment at SunGard Availability Services. Our heritage is actually in disaster recovery, but as the needs of our customers have evolved, we're moving into enterprise cloud services, managed IT services. Our mission is really to help our customers keep their infrastructure, their applications, and their data always on, always available, and always accessible.
Now that's the core mission, and I'm wondering what specifically is making you think when you get out of bed, okay, today's not going to be like last year.
Fingers crossed that Hurricane Sandy doesn't hit again. There are big natural disasters that happen, once every 200 years, but on a day-to-day basis, most of our customers come to us because of human error. So we are, 24/7 thinking about how we're going to protect our customers.
And I wonder if part of it is not just, acts of nature, but increasingly organized acts of human malevolence, whether it's a distributed DOS attack from an activist organization or maybe even a state agency that's involved. You must be facing not merely unfortunate random events, but also very determined and disciplined attacks and having to be really a strong line of defense against that.
Absolutely. Security is a huge part of our business. It's core to everything we do. And in addition to malicious attacks over the web, we also deal with man-made disasters like terrorism. The Boston Marathon bombing was a big event for us, for our local customers, to support them because they shut down the city of Boston. Yeah. Nobody could get in. So we served as the backup site and facility to get our customers in Boston up and running when nobody could get downtown. And same thing for New York and Hurricane Sandy.
Well, tell me what the contribution of a partner like Marketo is to making that kind of situation controllable.
Marketo has helped us gain tremendous insight into our customers and our prospects. Between Marketo helping us manage our marketing automation and our marketing programs, serving up detailed analytics about what types of content my customers are interested in, tying that to our sales results in Salesforce.com, we're now able to see with a deep level of granularity the results that matter and the way we need to be communicating more effectively to our customers.
Phil, when you walk into a situation like what you see at SunGard Availability Services, where do you see the real opportunities for Marketo to add value?
Well, the opportunity of Marketo is to drive growth inside the company. So Christine has some amazing growth numbers of using Marketo to drive new marketing campaigns, to acquire new customers, to get more out of those customers. And it's really eye-popping when you use a platform like Marketo and in the hands of somebody with Christine's talent, 30, 40, 50% growth rates in leads, opportunities, and revenue generated through a product like Marketo, working in conjunction with Salesforce to drive more leads into their salespeople's hands.
Christine, I think what we're seeing here is that the pace of operations that might have been able to tolerate a certain degree of siloing in the past really requires you to be a much more organic marketing and service machine today.
Absolutely. We've spent the past 18 months completely transforming our marketing organization. We are now 100% aligned with sales revenue objectives. My team, everybody carries a quota just like a sales rep, and everything we do is measured every step of the way through Marketo and Salesforce.
And Phil, it would seem to me that the result is that rather than interacting with maybe a specific stakeholder in the organization, Marketo really now is a partner to the entire business in a way that it might not have been before.
Marketo is absolutely a partner of the entire business. You know, we started automating marketing campaigns, and frankly, that's a fairly important but low-level activity. But as we really unleashed marketing analytics and the ability to give the CMO, the CFO, and even the CEO a true understanding of how the revenue funnel's working, around how expenditures in marketing are turning into revenue, you know, all of a sudden the constituency is everyone because we help companies grow faster and make more revenue.
Well, the whole ecosystem play that the cloud services market represents, including SunGuard, including Marketo, including all the things that we all do together, I think that's really what Dreamforce celebrates every year. Christine, Phil, so great to have you as part of the Dreamforce 2013 and this pre-show for Sheryl Sandberg. Christine, really appreciate your being here for that. Thank you. I'll be joined now by Joanna Sahovic, President of Stanley Black & Decker, and Eric Berridge, co-founder at Blue Wolf. Joanna and I have spoken before. You were able to join us for a Chicago event, and I am such a tool nerd myself that talking to someone who makes my tools, you know, smarter and smarter all the time is really exciting. Joanna, you actually kind of blew my mind in Chicago because I said, well, I can see connected products in areas like, you know, compressors and things, and you just went up to me and said, you're putting RFID chips in the handles of hand tools. So people, you know, checking stuff out from a tool bin in a factory can now have a better idea of tool availability. What an exciting time to be in a business that's been around ever since, you know, human beings really existed, but it's becoming so much more sophisticated today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, 2 years ago when we talked about being able to embed chips into a tool and the type of technology that it would take to make those chips readable, people said it couldn't be done. But we now can put a chip into a wrench, and it helps you locate not only who took the tool out, but also where it could be in the factory if it's lost when you have specific applications like aircraft manufacturing, where you have to find that tool before you can ship the aircraft.
Okay. Now, so tell me about some of the things that you're doing to really gain greater leverage toward that end from things that we're able to provide for you.
Well, really, we'd like to be able to connect every single link of the value chain. So we'd like to have the tools be able to talk to you, the tool cabinet be able to talk to you, be able to connect into your tool crib and analytics, and then all the way through the factory, our customers, our suppliers, everybody. And that's just the first link of the chain. We're connecting a lot of the links, and you're helping us, as are our partners.
Well, I know what my tool cabinet would say to me. It would say, how come you haven't bought me anything new lately? And I'm wondering, you know, what is the opportunity here for Stanley Black & Decker to be now in continual contact with customers and say, you know, you're using X, Y, and Z. If you were to take a look at G, Q, and R, there are some operations you're doing that would be more accurate, more reliable, higher productivity. That must be a fascinating conversation to be able to add value to your customers by knowing more about what they do.
Yeah, that's what we talk about when we say we want to go from smart tools to genius tools. So smart tools are where we are now, where they can give you location information or maybe calibration information. But genius tools are to anticipate what you might need and help us to proactively reach out and offer the customization and personalization that would help make people more productive.
Well, among your genius tools are all the great people at Blue Wolf. Tell me a little bit about what the partner relationship brings to Stanley Black & Decker.
Yeah, Blue Wolf has been involved in every major implementation of ours, from the Service Cloud to the Sales Cloud, and they have given us the tools, the training, and the connectivity and integration that we need to be able to do cool things like the text-to-case thing that we talked about a little bit earlier. It gives us the capability to serve our customers better and to help make them more effective in the field.
Eric, I've spent a lot of time with your geniuses, and I know they have a deep understanding of Salesforce.com. In fact, Blue Wolf has just issued its new State of Salesforce.com report, which is a wonderful investment and one that I thank you for. It contains an immense amount of hard data that's going to guide me in our conversations with our customers. Tell me about what you've been doing with Stanley Black & Decker.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been, as Joanna said, we've worked with Stanley now for several years, and I think what Stanley's doing really validates what we found in the State of Salesforce report. This is a report that we did in conjunction with MIT Sloan, and a couple things to point out. Number one, 79% of executives are reallocating budget from on-premise solutions to cloud solutions, so I think that just validates that what Stanley is doing, like the rest of this marketplace, is eating on-prem budgets. The second thing, 84% of individuals that responded to this survey said that customer engagement is their #1 priority, and I think that really positions Salesforce One as being the customer engagement platform of the future. And Stanley's going to be able to leverage that. So that's very exciting.
Joanna, what do you see as some of the things that you're going to be able to do with this extensible and customizable container for Stanley Black & Decker's distinctive business process that we're trying to produce for you with Salesforce One?
We're really excited about the communities. We talked a little bit earlier about people tweeting us pictures of tattoos, and we know they want to be part of a community when they do it. when they tattoo a tool on their body. I just want to create the network that can help answer people's questions and that can help provide the affiliation of like-minded people.
Eric, I've been having conversations with a number of partners this week where we say, I'm not sure that the label exists yet to describe what you do. We used to say 5 years ago, implementation partner. It seems to me that barely is the cinnamon on the latte of what a Blue Wolf contributes today. Have you got a good label to describe what you do in an organization like Stanley Black & Decker today?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to alignment and helping to prioritize so that we can drive quick ROI. I think what Salesforce has done that's so incredible is technology is not the barrier, right? It's the people that are the barrier, and it's the organizational alignment that needs to happen to make these things happen fast. And that's what we love to do at Blue Wolf.
Joanna, I'm seeing a lot of really interesting analysis today about the new future of manufacturing, about industries that people thought were leaving the United States coming back, and because the inherent ability to innovate and increase productivity in the U.S. is really going to outpace what other countries can do with merely cheap labor. It must be wonderful to feel that Stanley Black & Decker is part of that process of making the American worker live up to their potential, to be the value creator they can be.
We have several factories in the United States, and I fundamentally believe that it's important to be able to serve the market in the market that you're in. Being able to ship and get products to the customer in a timely manner with the innovation and the pride is important. And as you see more of the automation happening in industry, then it is less of a labor equation and a lot more of an innovation equation.
Fantastic, a great emphasis to have. Joanna Sahovic, Eric Barrage, thank you so much for being part of Dreamforce 2013. I'll be joined now by Erez Nir, the Chief Technology Officer for Mitchell International, and Vikrant Karnik, who insists on being called VK. I can't imagine why. Senior VP for Enterprise Cloud Services Sales at our estimable partner, Capgemini. VK, the last time you and I were together was in Mumbai, where I had the pleasure of helping you work with something remarkable that's been literally in my personal goals in the company for the last 5 years, which is bring the ideas of the cloud out of the geek stream and into the mainstream. As auteur and executive producer of the Super Techies show in India, the world's first technology-themed reality TV competition, it's remarkable to see something like that happen. I congratulate you for the creativity and the energy that all of Capgemini's people have put into that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thanks for being participant of the show. We truly enjoyed your participation there. Thank you.
Well, I look forward to the December 14th airing of the grand finale of season 2. It should be fun. But as Mitchell International, I mean, you run 50 million transactions a year, over 300 insurance companies and claims payers, 30,000 collision repair facilities. BK, if there's one thing that bothers people as much as not getting the health insurance they need, it's not being able to get their car back on the road. And so you are part of something that's tremendously important to people's lives. I can't think of any business in which enriching and accelerating the customer relationship could be more valuable.
Absolutely. We actually look at this and say we are restoring people's lives. After a meaningful event, we're trying to bring them back to just the way they were. And we do it if it's a car accident, we do it if they got hurt in a car or in a workplace. So this is very important for us.
So the combination of more ability to be on the spot and begin the claims process from a mobile device, to have customer fulfillment of claims adjustment being in a much more real-time manner, are these all initiatives that Mitchell is embarking upon now?
Absolutely. We are trying to participate in this whole value chain of basically that has to be involved with the restoring people's life. So.
Tell me about the contribution that a partner like Capgemini can bring to that.
So when the way we work with Capgemini was one of our main topics is to get a very inspired workforce. And we looked at Work.com, which was an acquisition by Salesforce, and we said, okay, how do we make it work for us, and how do we enable our people to encourage them to be more inspired? We went to Salesforce and said, how can you help us? And they suggested that we work with Capgemini on the integration, and we tried to make it integrated straight into Cheddar. That's the key.
I'm delighted to hear you bring that up, because sometimes people have asked me, well, why did you get into the Work.com thing? I said, if you're trying to build an organization that runs on a different set of metrics, you need a workforce that can be evaluated on metrics suitable to that. VK, what were you able to do in terms of helping Work.com and a general culture shift bring Mitchell to where it wanted to be in terms of employee engagement and performance?
I think it's a testament to the leadership that Erza and his team built in to drive that activity forward. By leveraging work.com and badges and allowing people to recognize each other's contribution, they've been able to up the level of employee involvement significantly. There are nearly 1,000 badges which have been assigned since the last 3 months since they've gone live. Obviously, that is not the only reason which contributes to improving the employee morale, but that's driving that engagement is the big part and making it part and parcel of their day-to-day life. That's what makes it more exciting.
You know, I think one of our goals with Work.com was to take performance appraisal and transform it from being an annual hoops of fire ordeal that neither manager nor employee enjoys very much, and make it instead part of the way people live, where giving thanks and coaching and mentoring stop being an intimidating thing and become something that everybody looks forward to doing as part of their workplace. Erez, can you tell me something about the vibrancy that this can bring to the culture at a place like Mitchell?
So this became a virtual high five, basically, right? I mean, you have people basically saying, hey, great job you did today, and recognizing MVPs, and it's all online, and everybody can see it on their Twitter feed if they're following or they're following me or others. So for us, this was a big boost, and the biggest proof of all is that our engagement survey at the end of the year showed engagement of employees actually boosted by a considerable amount. So for us, that was like a ratification of the approach we took.
Fantastic. BK, obviously this is more than implementation. This is, you know, re-engineering a culture with the aid of cloud services, but it's not about the cloud anymore, is it?
No, it is not. It is about changing how employees work, how companies work, how companies transform. It is all about the transformation enabled by the cloud.
Fantastic. We're going to take a short break now. I've been joined by VK from Capgemini and Erez from Mitchell International. So great to have you as part of this Dreamforce, and I hope the rest of your week lives up to what it's been so far. Bye. We'll be back. We're back. And before we bring out Mark and Sheryl, there's some people I really, really want you to meet. John, all three of you come on up. We are delighted to welcome back to the Dreamforce stage. I guess it's 2 years running now, is that right, John?
Last year.
It was last year, yeah. John Reynolds, the founder and executive director of Veterans to Work. And since we don't just want to repeat here, we have more than doubled down. I am pleased also now to welcome Jay Roca, U.S. Navy, and Angelica Jones, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service. John, I continue to believe there's no richer and more underutilized pool of talent in the United States today than our veterans. And I know that you've made it your mission to resolve that discrepancy. Tell me what's going on at Veterans to Work today.
Well, you're absolutely right. So there's 1 million veterans coming back in the next 5 years. They're talented, they're disciplined, they know how to learn quickly, they're team-oriented. And yet, the younger veterans face unemployment in big numbers and chronic, lots of years of underemployment. And it's, why is that? Well, partly because veterans really aren't used to conducting a job search, and they haven't had to, and they also don't know how to sell themselves. For employers' part, most of them don't really understand how to fully employ the talents that veterans bring.
John, I know that you've brought a large phalanx of potential talent here to immerse themselves in the environment that Dreamforce can provide for helping people be aware of some of the tools that are available to make yourself more employable, more of a contributor to an organization. Can we meet your colleagues?
Absolutely. I brought with me today a dozen of our veterans are here with us that have just been through the Salesforce training course. The thing that I want to say about them is that just a few weeks ago, they didn't know how to barely spell Salesforce, with all due respect to their spelling ability. But today, most of them now have their certifications as admins. 2 of them have developer certifications, and they're ready to go. They're ready to go to work for you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Let them hear it. Congratulations. Welcome to the new economy. John, tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing with Salesforce services.
Well, there's a couple of things going on. I think the first thing is that what we've demonstrated is that the key to hiring veterans is to hire for aptitude and train for skills. And I can't think of a better example than this cohort of veterans. What Salesforce has done is really given us a platform that allows us to manage relationships with our 4,000 veterans who are registered with us and our 4,000 nonprofits and government agencies who are sourcing partners for us, and really allow us to have a fully built-out platform to manage this thing. The other thing that Salesforce has given us, really almost more importantly, is inspiration. The 1-1-1 model has been terrific, and Marie Martinez and tons of other people at Salesforce have been just enormously supportive. I couldn't ask for anything more. They really walk the talk, you do, in terms of the spirit of giving, and I really want the rest of you to pay attention and take as an example, Salesforce's great example, that doing good is not incompatible with doing well.
Well, speaking of doing, I know there's some calls to action here that you'd like to have an opportunity to share. What are things that people can do to help get more veterans to work, and to help Veterans to Work help them do that?
Well, first of all, we're looking to put 500 more veterans through the Salesforce certification program in the next 2 years. Okay. We can use corporate sponsorships to help us pay for the tuition to get these veterans through the class. We also are looking for essentially to put our veterans to work. Jay and Angelica and the rest of our veterans, most of them are looking for internships to get the workplace learning that they need. So hire our veterans, be a corporate sponsor. We welcome individual donations, www.veteranstowork.org.
And that's with the numeral 2 in the middle, right?
With the numeral 2 in the middle. And then finally, don't just be vet friendly. We want you to be vet strong, and let us show you how to do that. send me an email, john@veterans2work.org, and we'll show you how to be vet strong.
John, there's one thing that I often ask people. If you could sneak into Mark's office at night and put 3 things on his to-do list, whether they involve product design or things that we could do to make more resources available for things like bringing these modern skills to people, can you give me, number 1 of what you would put on Mark's list?
So the one thing that we are focused on, which really I think is the key to getting more veterans fully employed, is again the aptitude-based hiring. Hire for aptitude, train for skill. So what we want to do is encourage employers. We want to deliver the aptitude information to employers to give them the confidence to invest a little bit in training that will bring these veterans up to their full potential very quickly. These veterans are quick learners. I think we've proved that. And if you invest just a little bit in those veterans with high aptitude, you're going to see some amazing results.
Fantastic. John Reynolds, Veterans to Work, thank you so much for all you do. And congratulations to our newest members of the new economy. Thank you. We're done. Yeah. And now, before we bring out the guests you came to see, we want to share one more great story of customer success.
The third great wave of computing is upon us. An era of hyperconnection. Billions of people and things and devices connecting faster than ever. But behind all the technology, behind every connection, every app, and every device is the single most important element of all. A customer. Billions of them. Each armed with the ability to make choices and decisions at superhuman speed. Welcome to the Internet of Customers. The most powerful wave of the Internet revolution is happening now, today, right at this very moment. Your customers are racing into the future and determining the future of your company. And it all comes down to this. You need to get to the future first, ahead of your customers, and be ready to greet them when they arrive. Introducing Salesforce One, an all-new platform engineered to connect customers to the next generation of apps and devices, so you can sell, service, and market like never before. A customer platform designed entirely to accelerate development and deployment in a mobile-first world, with social collaboration at its core and 100% Salesforce Cloud. So you're not only ready for what's next, you're way out in front, ahead of next. Here you'll find APIs for anything, so you can connect with everything. A world-class mobile app exchange, so you're instantly ready to build and sell next-generation apps for the enterprise app revolution. Plus, a new admin app, so you can quickly change things on the fly. This is where one button instantly connects everything. Your customers, your employees, your partners, your products. Everything you've ever created on Salesforce, and everything yet to come. It's the Salesforce you know and love, only better. Suddenly, opportunities are everywhere, along with the ability to service customers at the speed of now. Connect one-to-one in entirely new ways and turn consumers into customers. Create anything you can dream up with the fastest path from idea to finished app. No hardware, no software, no speed limit. Get ready to connect to your customers in a whole new way. On a platform where the #1 goal is getting you to the future first. This is the new Salesforce. This is Salesforce One.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mark Benioff.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Are you having a good time at Dreamforce? Well, this is a great time. It's a great day. I really would love you to just give a huge thanks and a huge round of applause for our team who has done just a fabulous job for this conference. Can we hear it for them? Thank you. And last night, I thought Green Day did just a phenomenal job. Weren't they amazing? They were amazing. And I was up in my suite. I'm, watching this incredible show, and just kind of the who's who of the music industry keeps just showing up. Neil Young was there, Lars Ulrich, both who have played Dreamforce before, showed up. Huey Lewis showed up. All to hear Green Day because, they're truly a phenomenal, phenomenal band. And you just saw what unbelievable professionals they were when the whole mixing board exploded in the middle of the performance. They just kept going. They turned it into an acoustic set. It was awesome. And I just thought that's such a great example. It was a great example of professionalism. They didn't get angry. They weren't upset. They just looked at it as a great opportunity to do something completely original and amazing. I just loved being there, and I just thought it was such a great example of excellence. Anyway, today we have a phenomenal interview put together for you. And before we dip down into that, what I'd like to do with all of you is talk to you about an incredible institution that we've been working with here in San Francisco, the University of California, San Francisco. UCSF has really been advancing health worldwide. Phenomenal scientists, phenomenal research, a phenomenal medical school, and a phenomenal set of hospitals. And I'll tell you, the translational medicine that goes on, that they're able to go from idea to execution through that triad of research, medical school, and hospital, amazing. One of the great things that we've had the opportunity to do is work with them and to create with them and explore with them. Of course, it's a completely different industry. It's a whole different set of core competencies and understandings of science. But I'd love for you to just take 3 minutes and look at this video of some of the amazing work our team at Salesforce has been doing in creating a new vision for the connected hospital. Let's take a look.
We are trying to change the way we practice medicine. We should be demanding change and driving change.
We've talked for decades about we need to have patient-centered healthcare, but we really haven't had the systems in place that enable us to do that.
So we have to take the best of what Silicon Valley has, where you can be nimble and quick.
Salesforce is helping us look at the world differently. They're helping us, push our edges in terms of what should a connected world look like? What would it look like if healthcare communications was social, if it was mobile, and if it was built around the patient?
We need new tools and new tactics for busy clinicians to connect both with each other and with other healthcare providers and with the patients and their families.
So by leveraging the Salesforce One platform, we can develop mobile apps much more rapidly. We're probably the only industry that remains that uses pagers, and that's an incredibly inefficient way to communicate. One of the applications that we've built is what we call the CareWeb communications platform. CareWeb allows us to have conversations. They're threaded conversations so everyone can see what's going on, and the patient will actually be engaged in the conversation, be able to see what the providers are saying.
They have continuous connectivity to their providers to be able to partner with them on the most important decisions of their life.
We're starting to scratch the surface and see the multifaceted ways that the platform can help us out. So gamification is a great example. And some of our ICU folks built a really cool application that's had a lot of success engaging providers to really adhere to these best practice protocols that were challenging to adhere to. Now others are following with other similar applications. Yet nurses are walking around, they're delivering educational content. We have the patients doing surveys right on iPads, other tablets while they're in the hospital.
And if they're facing either a disease or the threat of a disease, they can get involved and understand what's happening and connect with their community and their clinicians in different ways.
So every woman who comes in for mammographic screening is sent a questionnaire, which they can fill out on an iPad. As soon as they fill that out, Salesforce calculates their risk for getting breast cancer. We can send that risk report back to the patient and the physician. And then all that information comes together and filters through the system in the way it can be used by everybody and create a learning system that accelerates our knowledge.
What is fantastic about health and medicine today is the change is coming quickly, the pace of change is increasing.
We're capturing data from places we never imagined.
There's a whole, wealth of connected devices right now that connect the patient to the cloud.
But what's really meaningful is that my clinician has access to that data in real time.
We need to use the power of a platform like Salesforce to be able to computationally raise the level of that data to information. You start to contextualize that, and all of a sudden you start to get a picture of what's going on. Call that patient and say, you know what, even before you know it, we know that something's going on. We want to see you in the hospital immediately.
When you can start from the platform that gives you all the tools, gives you the scalability, gives you the robustness, gives you the privacy and security already built in, we don't have to worry about those parts anymore. Now we can just build on the healthcare specific parts that are our strength.
It frees them to use that brain power and their precious resource, which is time, on the hardest things that we still are trying to figure out, which is what's the best thing for this person who's sitting across from me.
Most people went into medicine to make a difference and to have relationships with patients.
We need to be thinking about our patients more as customers. They are consumers, and they need to be treated much better than we used to treat them when we thought of them as patients.
Because of the collaboration between UCSF and Salesforce, I can now connect with many more patients in many new ways, and to me, that's thrilling.
Larry Rand. It's awesome. Isn't that a great story? It's a great story for a lot of different reasons, but we've been so focused on the electronic medical record that in many cases we forget about the whole patient ecosystem and what we can do to make patients even more successful with this amazing, amazing new technology. Here, tonight we're going to be having our top customer dinner, which is going to feature Tony Bennett and Jerry Seinfeld, and we're also announcing tonight that we're giving UCSF an additional $2.5 million for something called their UCSF eHeart study. It turns out the Framingham study, that is how cardiologists determine the level of heart disease that you have, is decades old. But using new technology like this Fitbit that I am wearing and others, well, you're able to determine the actual health of a heart in incredible new ways. And we're delighted to be working with UCSF to fund that incredible new research. Well, as you know, we have something, thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great idea, and it's a great opportunity. Dreamforce has been phenomenal so far, and one of the reasons it's been so phenomenal is it's been dedicated to the power of women. We opened it with a phenomenal interview with Petra Nemkova, and I know all of us had our hearts touched hearing her incredible story. And we also heard and we saw the incredible vision of Meg Whitman. Then we went on to hear yesterday a great interview and the entire vision and management style of Marissa Mayer of Yahoo. And now I want to introduce you to somebody really incredible. This executive is amazing. She was the president of Genentech. Now, she had already gone to UCSF. She had her master's of public health. She was a medical doctor. And so it was absolutely clear that she should become the UCSF chancellor. There's few people in the world that I enjoy working more with. And today, she's led this amazing UCSF Unusual Thinkers track right here at Dreamforce. Please give a very warm Dreamforce welcome to Sue Desmond-Hellman, the Chancellor of UCSF. Welcome, Sue.
It's great to be here.
Sue, we're so thrilled to have you here, and we're so delighted to be able to work and partner with UCSF. We've learned so much from you. We've been so inspired by you. We've been so encouraged by you. Sue, tell give us an update on some of the exciting things that are happening in the world of science, the world that you're living every day. Tell us what's going on. Has there been a breakthrough? Is there things that would give us a special hope and optimism for the future?
Well, let me tell you one story that I think connects so well with the video you just showed. What you heard in the video is a combination of big data and making connections. So UCSF just recruited Matt State, a world-renowned psychiatrist, to chair our Department of Psychiatry.
That's great. Could I get booked in tomorrow for about 5 o'clock? It would be really great. Oh,
you can have the 4 o'clock and the 5 o'clock
that would be
slots.
really good.
We'll give
Thank
you two.
Thank you.
So Matt is one of the world's experts on autism, a really difficult problem, and partly why it's difficult is we just don't understand it. What we want to do is connect the great science, sequencing, understanding the genome of the children and the families who are suffering from autism and everything that it means for those families, but connect that with the clinical outcomes, the clinical course of those children, and put that together in a set of big data, interrogate that data, better understand, prevent, and treat autism. That's the kind of thing that UCSF is doing, the kind of people we have, literally the world's expert who's here now at UCSF, and the kind of problems we're trying to solve.
Well, that's amazing, and that gives tremendous hope for the future. You tapped into something, though, that I have to ask about now, which is precision medicine. The idea of providing access to data to make better medical decisions. Can you explain to me, what does that mean?
Well, what precision medicine means to us at UCSF is literally a revolution in how we think about health. It means that the great science that's being done down at Mission Bay can be made available to your caregiver and brought to you at the bedside. It means that we can make what we call a Google map for health, something that as health information changes, as we deeply understand diseases, we can bring that to the bedside. It really means that we have big data sets with many, many patients and deep understanding not just of genomics, but of your environment, your family life, what touches you as a human being, and bring that back to improve your health. It's a total transformation of how we think about providing health and bringing science, technology, and innovation right to the bedside.
That's amazing. That's an incredible vision. And tell me, how does that combine with all the advancements in pharmaceuticals? All these new drugs. One of the things I know that you pioneered at Genentech was the creation of an amazing drug that saves so many lives now, Avastin. Can you tell me, how does it actually link into the pharmaceutical world? Will you know what drug is best for what patient or what client?
Right. Well, what we're hoping to do with precision medicine is build on this personalized medicine for medicines like Herceptin and Avastin that I worked on at Genentech. But one of the things we didn't do so far in the pharmaceutical industry is connect the dots. For example, the breast cancer drug I worked on works in stomach cancer. But if we don't have this rich source of data, we can't turn those personalized insights into broad improvements in health. We want to bring down the cost of drug development, make it faster, and make it globally available for the underserved. It's one of our passions at UCSF, and Children's Hospital of Oakland is a part of that. So we're trying to connect our gee whiz things at UCSF to many underserved who can't pay for the kind of medicine that is so expensive today. So we hope precision medicine makes things faster, cheaper, and in the end, better.
Well, I have to ask you about that. UCSF has announced that it's coming together with Children's Hospital, Oakland, and Research Center. And one thing that really occurs to me is both of these are public institutions. UCSF is a public institution created by the public, for the public. Oakland Children's is also a public institution. I've been over there, and it's phenomenal the work that's happening in that research center as well. Now, that seems to be very different than a private institution or a private university or a private medical institution. What is the role of these public structures and public organization in today's world?
Well, what we think is that every life matters, everyone matters, regardless of if they're rich or they're poor. And so the connection that we all feel at UCSF to Children's Hospital of Oakland is they're caring for some of the toughest issues in health in sometimes very difficult circumstances. What we all care deeply about is children and families. And so what's really different about us is our passion to change the world, to make sure that we advance health worldwide. That may be in sub-Saharan Africa, and it may be in our own backyard. And so we think the connection is that we have the same values.
It was very exciting. You know, everyone in this audience participated in raising $6.5 million last night for the UCSF Children's Hospital and for the Oakland Children's Hospital. And I was just down at Mission Bay. I saw a...
Yeah. Awesome, awesome.
I was just down in Mission Bay and where the new UCSF campus is going up, and I saw this incredible new orthopedic center, and you have this incredible new genetics center, and you have this new cardiovascular center, and I mean, all these major new disciplines have these phenomenal new facilities, and of course the new children's hospital, a new cancer hospital, a new women's hospital. You know, can you just give us an update? What's happening down there at Mission Bay, and what kind of things can we do to help you and support you in its development and growth?
Well, you already have helped, and thanks everybody in this audience who helped raise $6.5 million. It's amazing to all of us. The remarkable thing is there's no campus like that in the world. Literally here at Mission Bay in San Francisco, we have something no one else has, which is the world's best basic science connected to delivery of clinical care when we open our new hospital, February 1st, 2015. So this audience, there are people who can help in many ways. Volunteering, getting connected. Some people can donate money if they have the means. Many of these folks heard from our UCSF Unusual Thinkers panel that we could use their help in new devices or new apps to help our clinicians connect better with their patients and their families. Everyone can help in some way, but I would also say we're here to help the community. If people are seeking care, particularly for the toughest problems, that's our specialty. And so we hope that that goodness flows in both directions.
Well, we saw some amazing people in the video. We saw Michael Blum, who's not just your chief information officer, but he's one of your chief cardiologists.
That's right.
We saw Laura Esserman, who is not just running your breast cancer project, but runs the Athena project, which is uniting the whole UC system,
right.
Breast cancer programs. Incredible data coming out of that. Who are some of these other incredible thinkers that you have that you're excited about today?
Well, there's so many. Let me mention one. Donna Ferraro, our chief of pediatrics, is a neurologist. And Donna specializes in young children, babies, and how the brain works. So she has been leading a team that cools down kids after birth to help prevent really tough conditions that affect their brain and their ability to learn and function later in life. So Donna is truly a thought leader in good outcomes for really tough premature children. She's one, like many at UCSF, who are making a huge difference by innovating. I mean, I always was told to warm up babies, I don't know about you, but cooling them off to protect their brain. She's one of them. Mitch Berger, our chief of brain surgery, who's helping patients everywhere with brain cancer, but also helping us to understand insights into concussions and head trauma that so many who watch football on TV or have their kids play soccer care about. So those are just a couple of the great folks that we have. I could go on, but you got a guest of honor over here.
Well, you're also one of those incredible people, Sue. We couldn't be more thrilled to be working with UCSF, and thanks for giving all of us the opportunity to support you in this phenomenal work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks
so much. Sue Desmond-Hellman, the Chancellor of UCSF. And we have a phenomenal, phenomenal afternoon planned for you now. And please give a very warm welcome to Sheryl Sandberg, the Chief Operating Officer of Facebook. Welcome, Sheryl. Great to see you. Please join me up on stage. All right. Now, Sheryl, do you have any protests planned during this? Because I'd really like to know ahead of time.
I don't.
If you
Anyone
do.
protesting?
Okay.
Stand up now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, good.
They got the tips on how to do that yesterday, so I expect a more advanced version of it, hopefully, today. Sheryl, first of all, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And how about a big hand for Sheryl, huh? This is great. And, you know, I thought about all the great people I wanted to have here at Dreamforce, and this is not your first Dreamforce. You were here a couple of times before. You've always supported us. You've always given us your time, and always giving us your insight. So thank you very much for all of that. Really, really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for having me. And also, Salesforce has been a great partner to Facebook. And you've been a great friend, so I'm excited to be here.
Well, what my goal of this interview is for everyone in this room and online to understand, like I do, that you're truly one of the great leaders of our industry and also just one of the great people. And I just want to kind of open up so we can give them, a snapshot of your personality so they can experience that tremendous warmth that I receive every time that I have an opportunity to interact with you. I have even had a chance to speak to incredible people who've worked with you in the past, including I had an amazing conversation this summer with Larry Summers. And I mean, it's amazing that it goes back into, I think you were 18 or 19 years old when you met him, and then you would go on and work with him in government, and then he helped kind of bridge you into the technology industry, and here you are now as the COO of Facebook, and it's so exciting. And when I talked to him, he was so proud of you, and he always knew that you were going to have this incredible success, and when he saw it get created, it just, warmed his own heart. Tell me, did you always have that feeling? Did you always knew that you were going to be one of the most successful women in the world?
No, of course not. I just finished writing an entire book telling women that they should be more self-confident, telling men and women that we all should stop underestimating women. Thank you. And I wrote this because no matter what progress women have made, we're still really far from getting our share of leadership roles in any industry, in any country, anywhere in the world. And that means that when the decisions are made that most impact our world, our voices aren't equally heard. And so I wrote Lean In to try to tell women to sit at any table, reach for any opportunity, and I still find that this is a challenge for me. So earlier this year, when my book was long turned in, years of research done, again, telling women to be more self-confident, we had a meeting at Facebook. And it was to start a project that I wanted to do for years, but Mark and others didn't want to do. And there's a guy named Jay Parikh, one of our technical leaders. He and I wanted to do the project. No one agreed. And then after years, everyone decided we're going to do it. So we have this launch meeting. And I start off, being myself. I'm so grateful to be here. All these years, I wanted to do this project. No one agreed with me. I just feel so much better. Jay looks up. I knew Sheryl and I were right and you'd all come around. So I'm Facebook messaging with Jay later that night. Hey, Jay, can I use that story on my book tour? Sure. Jay, can I use your name in that story on my book tour? Absolutely. He's a really sweet guy. So I said, Jay, don't worry. I'm not going to make you look egotistical. I'm not worried about that. In a million years.
Men are not egotistical. That's the most important thing you need to know.
And I am not
We all have
claiming
our
they
egos
are.
in check.
But despite having written the book, despite whatever success I've had or I don't have, I sit here not having the self-confidence that Jay has. And I sit here knowing that and trying to be open about it so that we can understand these gender differences and make it better for women.
Where do you think that comes from? Where is that born out of? Where is that? What is the source of that insecurity that you're articulating?
Yeah. It's stereotypes and it's culture. And what's striking now, having been all over the world talking to women about Lean In, is that cultures are so different within our country, within the world, China, Korea, France, the United States, except for one thing. Our stereotypes of men and women are actually exactly the same. Everywhere in the world, we believe men should be assertive, aggressive leaders. Everywhere in the world, we believe women should speak when spoken to, raise their hand, give to others. I'm going to ask people a question. I think I can see people. If you're a man in this audience, please raise your hand. Can we get some light so I can see? Please raise your hand. No, don't raise your hand yet. Sorry. That's why I need lights.
Hey,
If
now
you're a
that's
man-
actually right there. Isn't that actually a huge observation, right? Aren't
Right
men
there.
Always right.
Right.
They
So
talk
if
about
you're
that in schools.
a man in the audience, please raise your hand if you were called bossy as a child. Bossy. If you are a woman in this audience, please raise your hand if you were called bossy as a child. Okay, we're not children anymore, we've grown up. If you're a man in this audience, please raise your hand if you've been told that you are too aggressive at work. There's always a few. If you are a woman in this audience, please raise your hand if you have been told you're too aggressive at work. I really want everyone to take a minute and look at that result. When a boy leads, we don't call him bossy because we expect him to lead, but when a little girl leads on a playground, we call her bossy. We start communicating to little girls that they shouldn't lead. And when they grow up, we tell those women they're too aggressive, and we tell very few men. The good news, and this is why I wrote Lean In, is we can change this today. Every single person in this audience can change this today, and here's how. There's a man who works for me at Facebook, and this is not a joke. He started the conversation with me by saying, "I haven't read your book," which is curious. I mean, if you worked for me, would you start the conversation? But let's leave that aside. He said, "But I have been listening to some, not all of the things you've said all these years." So we did our 360 feedback. No, that is what he said. Facebook's an interesting place to be a manager. And we did 360 feedback, and he got feedback that a woman who worked for him was too aggressive. So rather than write too aggressive in her performance review, which has happened to almost every woman in this audience, they all raised their hands, he went back and asked the people, men and women, who gave that feedback, "Can I ask you, what did she do that was too aggressive? In the specific, what did she do?" And they answered the question. And then he said, "If a man had done exactly those same things, would you have thought he was too aggressive?" And to a person, they said no. So the next time in your office someone says a woman is too aggressive, too assertive, political, brusque, take a deep breath and ask some questions. And the next time you hear a little girl called bossy, walk up to the person who did it, who might be that girl's parents, have a big smile on your face and say, "Your little girl's not bossy. Your little girl has executive leadership skills."
Well, it's an awesome story, and I have to tell you, I did read your book. And I had an amazing experience after I read it, because I was in a one-on-one with one of my executives who started to lament to me that one of our female executives at Salesforce was being too aggressive. And never in my career had either I had the consciousness around that or the awareness around that, and I just was able to take a breath, to sit back and go, wow, this is actually unfolding exactly as Sheryl has provided the enlightenment around it. And it's a true story, and I sat there and I'm like, but what am I supposed to do now? You know? And I mean, what I did was I said, you know, I'm thrilled that she's being aggressive. I want everyone in this company to be aggressive. She's a phenomenal executive and a phenomenal leader, and we want to have her to do more of that. Okay, now, is that the right thing?
That's awesome. A round of applause for Mark. Yes.
But I just want to say to you, you talk about insecurity, and by the way, just as a point of enlightenment for you, women are not the only ones who are insecure.
That's right.
There's another group as well. We won't identify who they are at this point. And, you know, but I wasn't sure what to do. I was not, you know, in business school. I didn't go to business school, but I did. I had undergraduate kind of pseudo business degree, and I'm hanging in there with it, but
it's holding you back.
But let me tell you, the funny thing is I didn't completely know what to do.
That's right.
You know, I read the book, and I'm like, okay, I know, I need to just like take a stance here and say, it's a phenomenal executive. We want aggressive executives, and you're right. I never had anyone say that about a man in the company. So what should here I am, you know, the quote unquote CEO, having a one-on-one with one of my subordinates, what am I supposed to do?
So I think what you did was handle it correctly, because if we call it what it is, we can educate and change people. That gender bias is something that happens to everyone. Saying in that situation, wait a second, you know, I've never had someone tell me one of my direct reports who's a man was too aggressive. We're all biased, myself included. That feedback is very specific to women. Let's get specific. What did she do? What's happening with gender is exactly what you say. Here's what we know. We know that there's been no progress for women in corporate America for 10 years. We know there's been no progress closing the wage gap for 10 years. Women make 77 cents to the dollar, men do. And how do we handle this? We never talk about it. So most of my career, until literally 5 years ago, I never said the word woman in the workplace because I was afraid people would notice I was a woman. And more seriously, you never say the word woman because you feel like the person on the other side of the table is going to think you're whining or asking for special treatment or about to sue them. For men, it's even worse. You're terrified to say the word woman. You're afraid you're going to get sued, attacked, complained about. And we are solving no problems with that. So what Lean In is trying to do is get CEOs like you to recognize gender and talk about it. Along with the book, started a foundation. Our foundation is working with Salesforce and over 300 other partners and individuals to start Lean In Circles. So Lean In Circles are groups of 10-ish people, they can be men, they can be women, who come together to talk about these issues and support each other to reach for their ambitions. There's a lot of evidence that says that peer mentoring is incredibly important. So right before this meeting, I met with a group of women and one man who are running the Lean In Circles at Salesforce. There are 33 up and running. You have over 450 people in them globally. And what I heard from them was that those circles were empowering them to lean into their careers. There are women who said they felt they were more confident as leaders. And there was a great story of one of the men, his name is Pablo, he's here, where he had a moment where he wasn't leaning in because he felt insecure about something he got the opportunity to do. And his wife said, wait a second, you're in a Lean In circle, lean in. And he leaned in and succeeded. And so if as a CEO you are willing to talk about this and address gender head on and say, hey, this is an issue that occurs to women, it's a great competitive advantage. There's a huge competition for results and for employees. If you're the most junior level employee or you're the most senior level, big executive like you, and you can work better with 50% of the population, you're gonna outperform. There's a session tomorrow morning at the Palace Hotel here, part of Dreamforce at 9 a.m. on Lean In Circles. Everyone should go. Women should go because it'll help your career, but men here should go because it'll help their careers. If you're a man and you go to this, you will go home to your company and just drop it into conversation. When I was at the Dreamforce session on Lean In Circles, learning how to support women, what will happen is women will want to work with you, and women will start talking to you more openly, and you'll be a better colleague and manager. If you happen to be a single man interested in dating women, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. People ask me all the time, which men should I date? I'm like, the ones who show up for events like this. This is huge.
Okay, well, we're not going to go there. Let's
Why not?
Because I have more coaching that I need from you. I've been waiting to have this conversation.
In this very intimate setting.
Well, it is an intimate setting because, whenever we're here, we're talking one-on-one, and, I have this challenge, and the challenge that I have is I want to have more women leaders at Salesforce. I want to have more balance between my men and women leaders at Salesforce. I think there is incredible benefit to having diversity at Salesforce.
Yeah.
It's completely selfish because I know it's going to create a better company, okay? Which will reflect on me, of course. But, but let me tell you that what are the things that I'm doing? I'm going to tell you some of the things I'm doing. Tell me which are the things I'm doing that are right, which are the things are wrong. Of course, we have a tremendous, female advocacy group at Salesforce called Femforce.
They're awesome.
Awesome. And we also have all these great Lean In circles. Okay, but to use a military term, because that's, how I am, I created, this kind of term where I'm like, we need to have like a women's surge at Salesforce. We need to see the rising of all of our women leaders at Salesforce. And when we do events and when we do programs, when we do leadership development, we need to invite and include as many women as possible and dig deep into the organization.
That's right.
And look everywhere and bring them up. So that when we are doing, for example, a management meeting, okay, where we might only be inviting our top, 10 managers, then it's kind of self-selecting. We're going to stay the same. I'm like, can we bring in more great women leaders? Is that the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Is that what I should be doing, or
Yes.
are there other things that I should be doing?
You should be doing that. You should be doing the lean-in programs, and there are more things you can do. So we need to surface the things no one talks about. So let's talk about mentorship and sponsorship. Hugely important to have them. People who have them do better. We know that we all like to mentor and sponsor people who are like us. So since largely men are in power, that means largely men. Everyone knows that, everyone talks about it. But here's what no one talks about. What does a man and a man in a room alone look like? A meeting. What does a man and a man at a bar at a hotel on a work trip look like? Mentoring. What does a man and a woman alone in a room look like? Or at a bar at a hotel? What does an older man and a younger woman look like? Whenever I'm in DC, the audiences yell out, DC. It's true, every time.
Does that branch off into another story at this point?
No, it just, I can't
okay.
help but notice, because no one else does it. I'm always kind of waiting for someone to yell DC, but we're not in DC. But here's what no one talks about. 64% of managers in the United States are afraid to be alone in a room with a woman. I went to a big financial institution in New York, and I talked about how we mentor and sponsor, and this very senior man, he said, look, I want to help women, but I want to be clear what happens in my company. When I give a performance review to a man, I talk to him. When I give a performance review to a woman, HR reads it 3 times and I stick to the script. Who do you think's getting good advice? We need to make it a badge of honor for men and women to be alone in a room, and everyone needs to be appropriate. But there is no mentoring that happens in a large group. You have to be able to have alone conversations. We need to make it a badge of honor for the people in power who are largely men to mentor and sponsor young women, and it's a huge issue. Here's another issue. We know that we lose a lot of our high-performing women either to the careers they could have had or to the workforce altogether during the child-rearing years. What do we do about that? Nothing. When do we mention it? Never, ever. Raise your hand if you've called someone in your office and said, you may want to have kids one day, I'd love to talk to you about it. Don't be shy. Yeah, I've never gotten a hand. You got 2. So we know this is when we lose women, but we've convinced ourselves that it's illegal to talk about it. The Lean In Foundation, we worked with SCAT and ARPS. They published a brief. It's up on our site. Let's be clear. It's not illegal to talk about pregnancy. It's illegal to discriminate against people on pregnancy, and by not talking about it, we get nowhere. My brother, who did read my book, called me during my book tour and said he was interviewing a woman, he's a surgeon in Houston, to join his team, and he said to her, she doesn't even have an offer yet, you may want to work on my team, and you may want to have kids one day. Shock and awe, no one says that. And that's your business, you don't have to talk to me about it. But I thought about this, and I have 2 sisters and a wife, I'm one of them, and they struggled through this. They didn't want anyone to know they were pregnant, they didn't want anyone to find out they were pregnant, they were worried they'd lose the good sales teams or the good cases. So if you come to work here, I want you to know my door is open. Come talk to me anytime. If you want to have children, I'm not going to give the good surgeries to someone else because you're pregnant, and I'm going to help you take a leave and come back if that's what you want to do. That conversation is not just illegal, but it is best practices. Any manager, man or woman who has that conversation, you just got an employee's loyalty for life, and that woman is so much more likely to come to your company, to stay at your company, and to come back. That's what we need to do. We need to surface these issues and talk about them.
You know, in my example, I told you that, I thought we should do this kind of surge. And then I got an email from one of the women that we invited to our very top leadership program. And it's a meeting that I conduct 4 times a year with our top, between 75 and 100 executives. And she lamented in the email, she said, I really don't want to come because my boss was not invited, and I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And again,
hard stuff.
Well, I don't know what to do. So what should I say at that point? And how do I have this goal, that you're helping to motivate and you're giving me confidence that I can achieve it. But what am I supposed to do at that point? What is the right thing to respect how she's feeling, and also to respect my need which is to create this greater diversity in my team.
Every time we raise gender, and every time we do anything on behalf of gender, the threat is that we're creating an unlevel playing field. Is it fair to her boss that she gets to come to your senior management meeting and he doesn't? And people have very different reactions. So I get asked to be on corporate boards, and I can't join any more boards, so I say no. And 100% of the time, the person on the other end of the phone, usually the CEO, the next sentence is, "We're looking for women, can you help find someone?" Now, I take that really well, because I think boards need more women. I'm fine if, I think the only way they get there is by being assertive about it and explicit. Half of my friends who get those calls are insulted. When the phone hangs up, they're like, oh, they only wanted me because they're a woman. I think the way to handle that is we say, look, because we know the playing field is uneven for women, I have to make an extra effort to level the playing field. There is bias and discrimination against women all the way up, and you are right. In this particular instance, I'm giving you an extra advantage. In this particular instance, we're looking for a woman for our board, but that's because we're trying to undo all the systematic bias. And the systematic bias, once you understand it, is pretty pervasive. Here's what we know. When a man and a woman performs at the same level, all of us, including the person themselves, overestimate the man's performance and we underestimate the woman's. We get the man slightly high and we get the woman slightly low. This starts with infants. Mothers systematically overestimate their sons crawling and underestimate their daughters. In classes all over the country, we systematically call on more boys than girls. And when boys interrupt, we let them interrupt. And so part of what you're trying to do is you're saying, look, I don't have a huge affirmative action program. I'm not promoting her over you. I'm not promoting you over your boss, but I'm trying to correct for some of the biases out there, and I'm giving women extra exposure. We know that men get promoted on potential and women get promoted on what they've already accomplished. And we know that men will reach for opportunities when they meet some of the criteria and women when they meet all of the criteria. So some of these interventions, like inviting more women to the meeting, when they're framed as trying to get to a more level playing field, I think they go down better.
Well, I think that's a phenomenal insight, and it's kind of getting back to the beginning of this dialogue. You said, well, if you're a man, put your hand up, and then before you had the opportunity to go on, there must have been about a third of the men who had their hands up. And research shows us over and over again, especially kids in K-8, that boys are going to put their hands up and try to answer questions, even if they don't know the answer to the question, number one. And it kind of adds to kind of the disruptive nature of young boys in classrooms in K-8. It's certainly some of the research that kind of points to that, there's a role for all girls schools. Is this pointing in that direction? Do you believe in that? Do you think that's the right thing? Should we have, girls K-8 in their own schools, or can co-ed education work?
Well, co-ed education has to work because the majority of our kids are in the public schools. My kids are in the public schools. The thing about bias is if we recognize it, we can change it, but we have to realize how hard it is. So a friend of a friend is a teacher who read my book, and he thought to himself, the data shows that he's an elementary school teacher. I'm calling on more boys than girls, but I'm really not. But I'll double down. I'll call on a lot of girls. So now he's calling on more girls, he thinks. And then he said, well, maybe I should get myself audited. So he invited a friend to watch his class. So now he's making a conscious effort to call on more girls, and he's got a friend sitting there checking it off. He expected it to be blown away more girls than boys. Do you know what the numbers were? 70-30 boys. Now, that teacher, that shows you two things. It shows you how hard it is to overcorrect these biases, but that guy's going to do it because he just got himself audited, and he's going to bring a friend back a month later to see if he can do it. And so again, the nice thing about all of these stereotypes is that we can change them so quickly. You can change the word aggressive, how it's used in your workforce today. We can change how many boys and girls we call on today. And that's part of what I've been really excited about since the book came out. It's not just the book, but the change we see in people's lives. The CEOs who complain to me, and this happens a lot, to be fair and honest, Mark is not one of them, who say to me, you are costing me so much money because all the women in my company want to be paid as much as all the men. To them I say, I'm not sorry at all. That's fantastic.
what have been the other surprises that have happened now that the book has been published? I mean, certainly one surprise has to be that it went to #1 on New York Times. I mean, so fast, and the huge amount of publicity has been phenomenal. Have there been other surprises for you? You've had so many interactions around it.
Yeah, a lot of surprises. Just a few months ago, I was in Minneapolis, and I got to go to a lean-in circle on an Air Force base. So these are women who are officers in the Air Force with officers in the Navy, and they brought their daughters, and they're in uniform, and I met with them. And boy, if it's hard to be a woman in a U.S. corporation, is it hard to be a woman in the U.S. military? These are women who are risking their lives. Yeah, I mean, these women are risking their lives doing the same job standing next to these men. And while the military actually pays them the same for the same level, which is good, they don't get the same respect. They are subtly and not so subtly harassed. The B word is a big issue in their lives, and I don't mean the word bossy. And it is really hard. But they've come together, they've formed a lean-in circle, both on their base, and now they have a virtual one, which has expanded all over the country. And they said it's making a huge difference because for the first time, they've come together as a group. Rather than being the only woman in the group they're in, they meet together once a month, and they're supporting each other, and they think it's making a huge difference. And when I think about having even the smallest impact on making their lives easier, that's incredibly gratifying because boy, do those women deserve it.
Well, that's a phenomenal story. And what other surprises have there been since the book has been published?
Lots. I mean, a lot of men.
Are you surprised at the amount of
attention? A run on laundry.
What about the attention? Are you surprised with the attention that it received, or did you expect it, or like, you know, you have your communications team with you, one of your leaders of communications is someone we've worked with since we started our company. Did they all come to you and say, oh, this is going to be unbelievable, get ready? Or did you go, wow, everyone wants to know about this?
No, I wrote a hardcover nonfiction book on feminism. So, those don't usually fly off the shelves. It's going to be its own category now, hardcover nonfiction on feminism. There's going to be a whole But actually, no, look, I've been very surprised, but I feel really gratified that the conversation has happened because we need conversation, we need debate, because unless we do, this doesn't change. The other thing that's been really surprising has been the run on laundry detergent I've caused in the country.
How so? Can you tell us about that?
Glad you asked.
Well, it wasn't the first thing on my mind. Well, now that you brought it up, I was just thinking about that.
But you asked for surprises. The run on laundry detergent.
Yes.
So the data shows that when men are more active partners in their marriages, their wives are happier. Happier couples have more sex. So I've been telling men all over the country and the world, if you want to have more sex with your wife, don't buy flowers, do laundry. And this works. Apparently, there are men wandering around supermarkets. Where's the laundry detergent? A friend of mine told me that she asked her husband to do a load of laundry, and he had seen me interviewed, so he kind of picked up the basket, he turned around, and he said, is this Sheryl Sandberg laundry? Is this foreplay? Because if this is foreplay, I'm in. But if this is just laundry, there's a game on.
Okay, well, we're not going to go there.
Mark's going to run out of here and go home and do some laundry.
Yes, I am.
Right after y'all attend
know?
the Lean In Circle session tomorrow, y'all should go home and do laundry too. This is proven stuff.
Okay, Sheryl. Thank you for that, Sheryl. I almost want to just wrap it up right now and but I'm not going to. So we've talked about a lot of, I just want to stay with the book for just a second more.
It's getting interesting, huh?
It's getting better. It's getting better. More surprises?
Look,
the surprises section turns out to be the best section here.
So look, there are a lot of surprises. One of the things my foundation did is we asked women the question that I was asked that led me to write this book, which is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Mark Zuckerberg asked me that question. He asked everyone at Facebook that question. We have these posters on the wall. And what I would do if I wasn't afraid is speak out as a woman. And I was told it would change or end my business career, that you could not be a serious business exec with a serious job and speak out on women. Men write books all the time when they're in business, but this was different. I was writing a business book about women and I would never survive. And I'm glad I did it because it was true to myself and I think it mattered. And so we've gone out and we've asked people, what would you do if you weren't afraid? We've asked people to take pictures and post them on Tumblr and Facebook and everywhere. And there was one I loved. There was a 16-year-old girl who wrote that she's afraid all the time. She realizes she's afraid a lot. And she realizes she can't conquer every fear in the moment. So she's created a little fear notebook for herself. She carries it around. And every time she's afraid, she writes the thing down. And if she can't get herself to do it right then, she's going to spend the rest of her life and she's going to check off that list. That 16-year-old girl has inspired girls and boys around the country. She wrote her story. We've had an amazing reaction. Another one I really loved is a 28-year-old named Sarah read my book, and she asked herself what she would do if she wasn't afraid, and she decided she'd run for mayor. She ran. She now became the youngest and the first female mayor of Pleasant Hill, Iowa, just a few weeks ago.
That's awesome.
28 years old.
Well, you've now brought that up now twice, and sounds like that's the title of your next book. What would you do if you were not afraid? And you also mentioned at the beginning of the interview that you think a lot of women are not pursuing their dreams because they are insecure, which is also fear. So, you know, again, is that fear coming out of society and culture? I mean, this is now, you're getting quite specific about what this is. This isn't just some kind of cultural norm. This isn't just some kind of built-in stereotype. This is now you're really starting to make a pretty dominant case that it's something much bigger, that there's too much fear inside women. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Too much fear inside women, too much gender bias and discrimination in all of us, and vastly different expectations for men and women. So women are always asked, how do you do it all? Men are never asked that, ever. I'm asked that in every interview I do. Men are never asked that. Now, why are men not asked that? Because we assume, what we mean is all means career and family, and every man assumes and can have both, and every woman thinks she can. Which is stupid because 70% of mothers in this country work. Most work full-time because they have to. So we have this messaging of you can't do it all, but you have to do it all to make ends meet for your family. The messages we send to men and women are so vastly different. Think of a career as a marathon. Men and women get to the start of the starting line equally fit and trained, right? The gun goes off. What voices do the men hear as they're running? The men hear, you've got this, keep going, good start. What do the women hear? From the day they enter the workforce, women hear voices which are saying, are you sure you want to start a marathon you might not finish? Don't you want kids one day? Does it make sense to do this? You know, the race goes on, the voices get louder. The voices get louder for the men. You've got this. You've got almost the finish line's right there. The voices get louder for the women. Should you be at work when your kid needs you at home? Again, men in the audience, raise your hand if anyone's ever asked you, should you be working? Go ahead. Should you be working? Women in the audience, raise your hand if anyone's ever asked you, should you be working? That needs to change because we need our partners to be equal partners. I tell women who are dating women, you're in great shape because those partnerships work really well. They split chores evenly, they both do equal housework and childcare. But in the United States today, a married couple who both work full-time, the woman does 30% more housework and 40% more childcare than her husband, which means she has 2 jobs and a man has 1. And my message to families is we should change this not just for equality's sake, but because it's good for children. At any income level, no matter how active a mother is, children with more active fathers are better adjusted, do better in school, have better careers, vastly better outcomes. And one of the reasons I want men to read my book, and I've been so glad so many men have, is men need to learn that because the payoff for being a more active father is not just for society, it's for their children.
Well, it's outstanding coaching, and you know, it's your coaching society. You're coaching different points. You know, in some ways, you're saying there's too much fear. You say there's too much insecurity, and
not enough help.
Not enough help.
Too much discrimination.
Too much discrimination.
Too much bias.
Too much bias, and also expectation setting around this is what is expected of you.
That's right.
Are these two things now is this the yin and yang of the problem?
Yes, and that's why we can change it. Because stereotypes are tremendously reinforcing. 2 stories, one here and one in Germany. One of the reasons I wrote Lean In is I brought home with my husband, Dave, who you know, a tape of all the US presidents for President's Day when my daughter was 4. And she listened to the tape and she looked up and said, "Mommy, why are they all boys?" And I have a friend in Germany, she has a 5-year-old son. Last year he said to her, "Well, I can't be chancellor, I'm not a girl." All this takes is more women in leadership roles. If we see more women lead, we will start to expect leadership and we will stop telling women they're too aggressive. If we let more little girls lead, if we get rid of the word bossy, we will stop discouraging it. If more people see women in all of these positions of power, including at your conferences, where I think you're doing a wonderful thing to invite more women there, they will start to expect women to be there.
Well, I want to ask you now that you've brought this up, do you think women are leading differently once they get into these positions of power? You mentioned Angela Merkel, and I think that we can point to we're in a world today that needs to rethink its environment, needs to rethink energy, and you've probably noticed recently that German energy stocks are really taking it on the chin because you have this phenomenal chancellor in power there who has shifted the balance of power, metaphorically, from kind of traditional fossil fuels to more alternative energy than ever before. You know, she was willing to, as use your words, lean in and kind of go against the status quo and say we want more wind, we want more solar, we want more, biofuels, we want all these things because our environment is at risk. Is it the women who are going to create the future of the world? Are women what we need to create a better environment? Are women what we need to kind of transform from this really dark place that the world is heading to a more light place?
I believe that if we had more women at the tables where decisions were made, we'd make better decisions. And there's a lot of data to prove that. Companies with more women in senior management roles have better outcomes. Sometimes people push back and say, would the world be more peaceful? I don't think so. My answer is let's try it. It's not going to get any worse. But I think we actually just saw that with the budget crisis. Huge budget crisis, ridiculous on all sides, terrible for our economy, terrible for our country. And who brought it together? The women of the Senate. What would happen if these bodies were half women? I say let's find out.
Well, do you think that one of these key points, if at some point in the future there's a female president of the United States, will that be like a milestone event for the world?
I think that will be a milestone, but it won't erase all of the issues. We now have a black president. We still have huge issues for men and women of color. We need to see all of these populations, women's, minorities, represented in the seats of power at the same level that they're represented in the rest of the community. A female president is a good start. I hope we get there. But we also need women in our corporations.
Well, 2016 is coming up. Are we willing to get this going right now for you? Because I'm ready to go. How about you?
Not for me.
I'm debating in my head because this is such a, I really like that we've stayed on the lean in topic, and I think that this is really why I invited you here. I have all these questions about Facebook, and I'll give you an opportunity to bring them up, but honestly, I think your message today is so powerful, and the energy in this room is so thick with this issue. I know it's at the top of everyone's mind that I really am loath to go into another category. I want people to leave this room thinking about this. I want people to realize this is a critical issue for our future, and that the message that you bring, and also the message of someone like Petra Nemkova, the message of someone like Meg Whitman, the message of someone like Marissa, the message like someone like Sue Desmond-Hellmann, and the message of someone like Sheryl Sandberg is so important in today's world. And I just want to thank you so much for coming to Dreamforce, sharing the message, writing the book, and the incredible stories that you told. Sheryl Sandberg, thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
this way.
Oh, that way? Okay.
The third great wave of computing is upon us. An era of hyperconnection. Billions of people and things and devices connecting faster than ever. But behind all the technology, behind every connection, every app, and every device is the single most important element of all. A customer. Billions of them. Each armed with the ability to make choices and decisions at superhuman speed. Welcome to the Internet of Customers. The most powerful wave of the Internet revolution is happening now, today, right at this very moment. Your customers are racing into the future and determining the future of your company. And it all comes down to this. You need to get to the future first, ahead of your customers, and be ready to greet them when they arrive. Introducing Salesforce One, an all-new platform engineered to connect customers to the next generation of apps and devices, so you can sell, service, and market like never before. A customer platform designed entirely to accelerate development and deployment in a mobile-first world, with social collaboration at its core and 100% Salesforce Cloud. So you're not only ready for what's next, you're way out in front, ahead of next. Here you'll find APIs for anything, so you can connect with everything. A world-class mobile app exchange, so you're instantly ready to build and sell next-generation apps for the enterprise app revolution. Plus, a new admin app, so you can quickly change things on the fly. This is where one button instantly connects everything. Your customers, your employees, your partners, your products. Everything you've ever created on Salesforce, and everything yet to come. It's the Salesforce you know and love, only better. Suddenly, opportunities are everywhere, along with the ability to service customers at the speed of now. Connect one-to-one in entirely new ways and turn consumers into customers. Create anything you can dream up with the fastest path from idea to finished app. No hardware, no software, no speed limit. Get ready to connect to your customers in a whole new way. On a platform where the #1 goal is getting you to the future first. This is the new Salesforce. This is Salesforce One.